Can you survive a Jason Voorhees movie? Let's find out. The survival rates in these films are abysmally low. We're talking single digits here, folks. In most slasher flicks, only about 1 to 2 people out of a group of 10 to 20 characters manage to make it out alive. So if you're feeling confident, ask yourself, could you outsmart the unstoppable force that is Jason Voorhees? Jason Voorhees. The name alone sends chills down the spine. He's a horror icon, the face of the Friday the 13th franchise, and the terror of Camp Crystal Lake. This hulking mass of muscle and rage, driven by a singular purpose, to slaughter anyone who dares to enter his territory. And with that iconic hockey mask and machete, Jason has become synonymous with terror. But what is it about his movies that makes survival seem like such a pipe dream? Is it the relentless pursuit, the way he seems to defy death time and time again? Or is it the sheer brutality of his kills? Jason's a resourceful killer, always finding new and inventive ways to dispatch his victims. He's a master of his environment, using whatever's at hand to take you out. So, yeah, Jason Voorhees is a force to be reckoned with. But that begs the question, what are your chances of survival if you find yourself face to face with the hockey mask maniac? Well, the good news is it's not impossible. There have been survivors. But the bad news is, the odds are definitely not in your favor. Surviving Jason takes more than just luck. It takes smarts, quick thinking, and maybe a little bit of divine intervention. So, are you ready to see if you have what it takes to survive a Jason Voorhees movie? Buckle up, because we're about to dive deep into the world of Camp Crystal Lake. Your life could depend on it. Alright, horror fans, let's talk about one of the biggest obstacles to survival in a Jason Voorhees movie: the characters themselves. These characters often seem to lack the basic survival instincts that most of us would consider common sense. I mean, seriously, have these people never seen a horror movie before? It's like they have no idea what kind of danger they're in, despite all the obvious signs. One of the most common mistakes? Poor decision-making. They make choices that defy logic and reason, almost as if they're inviting trouble. It's like they're actively trying to get themselves killed. You'd think they'd have a better sense of self-preservation. You know the tropes. Wandering off alone, ignoring warnings from creepy locals, and my personal favorite, investigating strange noises in the dead of night. These actions are practically a death sentence in horror movies. Newsflash, folks, if you hear a creepy sound in a dark, isolated location while being hunted by a machete-wielding maniac, it's probably not a good idea to go check it out. Yet they do it every single time. But hey, who needs common sense when you've got raging hormones and a thirst for adventure, right? It's almost as if the thrill of the moment blinds them to the imminent danger. And then there's the lack of awareness. It's baffling how these characters can be so oblivious to their surroundings. It's astonishing how often characters in these movies fail to notice the 6-foot-tall, hockey-masked killer lurking in the shadows. It's like they're completely blind to the obvious threats around them. Like, dude, he's not exactly subtle. You'd think someone would spot him from a mile away. You'd think after the first couple of gruesome murders, people would be a little more observant, a little more cautious. But no, they continue to wander around as if nothing has happened. But nope, they just keep on strolling through the woods, completely oblivious to the danger lurking around every corner. It's almost as if they're in their own little world. It's enough to make you want to scream at the screen, isn't it? You just want to shake them and tell them to wake up and pay attention. But hey, that's part of the fun of watching these movies. We get to enjoy the thrill and the frustration all at once. We get to yell at the characters for making stupid decisions, all while safely from the comfort of our own homes. It's a unique kind of entertainment. So, what can we learn from the mistakes of these hapless horror movie characters? Perhaps there's a lesson in their missteps. Well, for starters, trust your instincts. If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't ignore those gut feelings. They might just save your life. And for the love of all that is holy, if you're being hunted by a homicidal maniac, stay alert and stay aware of your surroundings. Your life could depend on it. Chapter 3. The Unstoppable Force, Jason's Relentless Pursuit. Alright, so we've talked about the questionable choices horror movie characters make, but let's be real, even the smartest, most cautious person would have a tough time surviving against Jason Voorhees. This guy is the epitome of an unstoppable force, a relentless pursuer who never seems to tire or falter. Because the dude is practically unstoppable. His sheer presence is enough to send chills down anyone's spine. I mean, seriously, have you seen this guy? He shrugs off injuries that would put a normal person 6 feet under. It's like pain and suffering are mere inconveniences to him. He's been shot, stabbed, drowned, blown up, even set on fire, and yet, he always comes back for more. Each time, he seems to emerge even more determined, more menacing. It's like he's got some kind of supernatural ability to cheat death. Maybe it's his connection to the eerie waters of Crystal Lake, or perhaps it's the curse of his vengeful mother that keeps him going. Whether it's his connection to the lake, the curse of his mother, or just plain old-fashioned horror movie magic, Jason is a force of nature that you just can't reason with. His very existence defies logic and reason, and that's what makes him so terrifying. The unpredictability, the sheer inevitability of his pursuit, it's enough to drive anyone to the brink of madness. Because no matter how hard you try to escape, no matter how many doors you lock or windows you barricade, Jason will always find a way in. He's relentless. His determination is unmatched. He never gives up. His pursuit is like a force of nature, unstoppable and unyielding. He's like a shark that smelled blood in the water, except instead of teeth, he's got a machete. And he wields it with terrifying precision. So, what can you do when faced with such an unstoppable force? The options seem limited, and the odds are never in your favor. Well, the obvious answer is, don't go to Camp Crystal Lake, but where's the fun in that? Horror movies thrive on the thrill of danger, the adrenaline rush of facing the unknown. If you absolutely must tempt fate and spend a weekend at the most cursed camp in horror movie history, you better be prepared to run. And not just a casual jog, but a full-on sprint for your life. And I mean run like hell. Every second counts, and every step could be the difference between life and death, because your life will depend on it. The stakes couldn't be higher, and the margin for error is razor thin. But even then, there's no guarantee you'll be able to outrun Jason. His persistence is legendary, and his stamina seems boundless. He's surprisingly fast for a big guy. His size doesn't slow him down. If anything, it makes him even more intimidating. And he knows the woods around Camp Crystal Lake like the back of his hand. Every twist and turn, every hidden path, he's got it all memorized. You might be able to delay the inevitable, but eventually Jason will catch up. His patience is as formidable as his strength. So what's the takeaway here? What lesson can we learn from Jason's relentless pursuit? Is there any hope of surviving an encounter with Jason Voorhees? The odds are slim but not entirely impossible. Well, as I said before, it's not impossible. With a bit of luck, a lot of courage, and maybe a touch of ingenuity, you might just make it out alive. Chapter 4. Don't be that guy avoiding slasher movie stereotypes. Alright, horror fans, let's talk about slasher movie tropes. You know, those classic character archetypes and situations that seem to pop up in every single slasher flick ever made. And more importantly, let's talk about how avoiding these tropes might just save your life if you ever find yourself trapped in a horror movie. First up, we've got the couple looking for a little privacy trope. You know the drill? Two lovebirds sneak off into the woods, thinking they're alone, only to find themselves face to face with a machete-wielding maniac. Newsflash, folks, if you're in a horror movie, public displays of affection are basically signing your own death warrant. Next we have the let's split up trope. This one's a classic for a reason. It's always a brilliant idea to divide and conquer when you're being hunted by a killer, right? Wrong. Sticking together is your best bet for survival. There's strength in numbers, people. And of course we can't forget about the curious investigator trope. This is the person who, upon hearing a strange noise, decides to investigate, usually with fatal consequences. Seriously folks, curiosity killed the cat. And about 1 million horror movie characters. If you hear something creepy, don't go looking for the source. So, what's the lesson here? Well, if you want to survive a horror movie, you need to be aware of these tropes and avoid them like the plague. Chapter 5. The Ultimate Test. Would you survive Jason's rampage? Alright, horror fans, it's time to put your knowledge to the test. You've watched countless horror movies, screamed at the screen, and thought, I would never make that mistake. But now, it's time to see if you really have what it takes. We've dissected Jason Voorhees, his reign of terror, and the common mistakes horror movie characters make. From splitting up to ignoring strange noises, we've seen it all. Now let's see if you have what it takes to survive a night at Camp Crystal Lake. Picture this, a serene, isolated location, far from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Imagine this. You and your friends are spending a weekend at a secluded cabin on the shores of Crystal Lake. The perfect getaway, right? But as night falls, the atmosphere changes. The sun is setting, casting an eerie glow over the water. The once inviting lake now seems ominous, hiding secrets beneath its calm surface. You're telling ghost stories around the campfire, the air thick with a sense of foreboding. Every rustle in the bushes makes your heart race a little faster. And then, you hear it. A chilling scream piercing the night. It's distant but unmistakable. Panic sets in. Suddenly, you realize the stories about Jason Voorhees are all too real. He's here. The legend has come to life and he's hunting, and he's coming for you. What do? Do you freeze in fear, or do you spring into action? Do you panic and run, scattering into the woods, becoming easy prey for the masked killer? Remember, Jason knows these woods better than anyone. Or do you try to stay calm, think rationally, and come up with a plan? Remember what we've learned. Use your surroundings to your advantage. Jason is relentless, but he's not invincible. He has weaknesses, and you need to exploit them. He relies on his brute strength and the element of surprise. But if you can anticipate his moves, you might just stand a chance. Your best bet is to outsmart him, to anticipate his moves, and to exploit his weaknesses. Set traps, use distractions, and always be one step ahead. Easier said than done, right? The fear can be paralyzing, but you must push through it. Let's say you decide to make a break for it. You think the car is your best option. You pile into the nearest car, but the engine won't start. Classic horror movie scenario, right? Jason is getting closer, his machete dragging on the ground, sending sparks flying. The sound alone is enough to send chills down your spine. Do you stay in the car and hope for the best? Or do you make a desperate run for the nearby boathouse, hoping to find a weapon or a means of escape? Every second counts. Every decision you make, every move you take, could mean the difference between life and death. The clock is ticking, the tension is unbearable, your heart pounds in your chest. So I ask you again, would you survive Jason Voorhees' rampage? Could you keep your cool and outsmart one of the most notorious killers in horror history? Or would you become another victim of the night, added to the ever-growing body count at Camp Crystal Lake? The choice is yours, but remember, in the world of horror, survival is never guaranteed. Outro: did you survive? As we've seen, surviving a Jason Voorhees movie requires a combination of smarts, luck, and quick thinking. It's not just about avoiding the killer, it's about making smart decisions and staying one step ahead of the game. So, if you ever find yourself in a horror movie scenario, remember to stay alert, stay aware, and don't do anything stupid. And above all, don't underestimate the power of Jason Voorhees. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you've got any thoughts on survival strategies in horror movies, be sure to share them in the comments below. Stay spooky, my friends.